And welcome in everybody to Sports Profit TV. This is the MLS Live podcast. We are talking match week 11 for Major League Soccer. I am Cooper, your host at the Sports Profit on Twitter. And with me, as always, is my co-host Garrett at Just Some Footy on Twitter. We are off of a little bit of a down week, first down week in a long time, but excited to bounce back. It's been a great year overall in regards to betting MLS. So looking forward to breaking down this week. Real quick, before we get into it, I want to talk about BetUS very briefly. Solid sports book. You can bet MLS there. You can bet pretty much anything there. They are offering a generous sign-up bonus up to $3,750, 200% of your initial deposit. The link will be in the description of this video, but let's get into it. How are we doing, Garrett?
Good, man. I'm good. We'll bounce back this week. I'm not happy with how I did last week. Down weeks happen, but of course, I fully expect to bounce back coming up.
Yeah, the good news is, everybody that's been tuning into the show season long, especially the guys that have been getting in, the early birds that get in with us on Tuesday or Wednesday, like this week. We've made you guys a lot of money, and it's been a successful Major League Soccer season so far, and it will continue to be. We have a lot of weeks to go. So definitely a big bounce back week for us this week. But let's talk about a little bit of player news real quick. Starting us off, we're going to talk about some unfortunate injury news. Dylan Barrero from the New England Revolution and David Ayala from Portland both suffered season-ending injuries. I don't know about Ayala because I don't remember where they played last week, but I know Barrero obviously got hurt on the artificial turf, which has become a big talking point as far as soccer injuries. There's a lot of people that just say get rid of the artificial turf altogether because it's causing ACL tears.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're not going to get rid of it. At best, you might see some kind of hybrid turf come in. There's been some, I won't call them technological breakthroughs in turf, but there's some more hybrid styles now. But it is just too cost effective for these teams to constantly bring in new grass. So you're just going to see, I think, more, not just in soccer, but in sports in general, some kind of turf, AstroTurf style as opposed to real grass, because it's just, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in savings.
Yeah, and also you have situations where teams are playing in shared venues, like the Revolution. They play in Foxborough, which is where the Patriots play, and that's artificial turf. So I'm not a fan of it. I would love to see beautiful natural grass everywhere, but like you said, maybe not that practical at this point. Both big losses for their respective teams, though.
Yeah, Barrero. I think he actually changes how the Revs attack. Like he was their best winger, their fastest winger.
Yeah.
One of the few players who could challenge a defense one-on-one and win a duel like that. So I don't know. The Revs is interesting too because they have one of the highest expected goals totals on the season so far. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. I think you could almost expect a complete formation change here, just because they don't have anyone who can replace what he does. And Ayala just adds on to the Timbers' woes this season with injuries, where they lost Williamson earlier this year with a knee injury for the season. Ayala now done with a knee injury, so that midfield just gets weaker, and both were key players. So these are worth noting when talking about these teams going forward and remembering the guys they're missing, because while depth in MLS has gotten better over the past 3 or 4 years, I think it's safe to say it's not where it needs to be. And so when you lose a player like this, or either one of these guys, they can border on irreplaceable from a tactical and performance standpoint.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Barrero a little bit more later in the show when we get to predictions because I have a play involving that, and Barrero is a big part of the handicap for that particular pick. But let's get to some news now, talking about the Chicago Fire. This is interesting. The Under 20 World Cup is coming up soon, which the United States is going to be participating in. Chicago Fire will not be releasing Brian Gutierrez or goalkeeper Chris Brady, who are both called up from the squad. This is unusual, right?
Not as not at the youth level. Like it's more usual at a youth style level, whether it's the under 17s, 18s, 20s, whatever, um, than it is at like the top level, like the World Cup, where teams actually have to release the guys, like they can't deny it. At this level, you're allowed to not release them if you want to. And if they don't release, they can't go play. And I understand the Fire standpoint here. These are two players that are too important for their season to release for a month or however long they're going to be gone for the World Cup. Um, it's been reported by multiple people that both players really wanted to go. And the Fire said, sorry, but kind of not sorry.
Right.
The Fire are going to prioritize themselves first in a season where it looks like they could potentially take a step forward with some young talent they've brought in. So yeah, I understand this move. I actually don't think there's a ton here. Like I don't think it's going to cause rifts or anything like that with the team. These guys are going to have other chances to make the U.S. squad as they get older. Both are big. Brady for the U.S. squad. Gutierrez, I think he's with the U.S. I have to double check that though. But both are talented and will get other chances in the future. So I think this is a smart business move by the Fire, and it's unfortunate for them, but they still have games to play.
Awesome. Biscuit is joining us for the first time today. Looks like a St. Louis City fan. We've got quite a few of them that seem to trickle in the comments and Twitter and stuff like that. So don't get upset if we fade your team at some point. The St. Louis City fans seem to be some of the more passionate MLS fans that we've encountered. At least I can say that from my experience. But thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll help you win some money on betting MLS. But one more piece of news that I want to get to here that involves your hometown team, Garrett. Longtime striker. Well, it seems like it's been forever. Ake Loba, originally brought in from Liga MX from Monterrey to be, the future striker for Nashville. They have agreed to mutually terminate his contract. So this didn't work out. Am I wrong to think that they're eating this contract? Like they've eaten it, they have paid for it, he's gone, so that frees up a designated player position for them. Does this mean that they're going after somebody, a striker?
They will 100% bring in a 9 in the summer. I don't know who, but that's 100% happening. That's the only reason why you do this, while you eat a $7 million transfer fee plus his salary and just straight cut him. Not even wait to the summer to try to sell him to recoup any of this. I mean, just straight cut him so that way you can go ahead and free up your space, free up your scouts, and start working towards who that 9 is going to be come this summer. There are a lot of people that think Nashville is literally a 9 away from being one of the title contenders. They pretty much have everything else. They've got maybe the most dangerous open field player in Henny Mukhtar that the league has ever seen. I mean, once this dude starts going downhill, you just don't stop him. So they get a solid 9 to pair with him with that defense. Yep. They're as dangerous as anyone in the league. So this is exciting if you're a Nashville SC fan, because you didn't know if they were going to be able to offload Loba in the summer in time to bring in a 9. And they just said, screw it, we're done. And pretty much just telegraphing what their plans are in the next window.
Yeah, I'm one of those people, by the way, that does believe. I mean, I think I even mentioned it the other day in the message in a DM to you. Like Nashville's going to be a bet on team for me if they get the right fit at the 9. So,
Yeah, it
um,
100% depends on who they bring in for me. The MLS jump always isn't easy in that first 6 months or so. It really depends on who they bring on. But yes, I think there could be a little bit of value, not a lot, because I think they're still going to be competitive, as you just saw with what they did with Atlanta, but maybe a little bit of value over teams, over some other favorites, LAFC, Philly, to maybe sneak in there and get you a nice little bet.
fantastic, very exciting. Looking forward to the summer transfer window. Uh, Ruben says it's the second time watching the show. Helped him hit a nice 3-teamer last week, so that is exciting. We are getting to predictions. Jose also in the house. Always good to hear from you, Jose. We are getting to predictions, though. That's the next part of the show, so let's hop right into it. As always, Garrett, you are going to start us off in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, so this this is a game that I really like from a ton of angles. I think it's dripping with potential, but that's just it, potential. Like I need some stuff to come through here. But the play I finally landed on was Cincy team total over 1.5. Gonna eat some juice with it here versus DC United. Cincy are actually fifth in expected goals after a slow start to the season with their offense. They have the best expected goal total on the road. Unfortunately, they're at home where they're just middle of the pack. But what I love here is they are first in big chances created and second in big chance misses. So again, that's one of my favorite stats to track in all of footy. And so this tells me goals are coming. And so I'm going to take a stab here at it as DC United come to town. Since he has strong home results, they're 5-0 at home, but they are greatly exceeding their expected points at home this season so far. That defense has looked a little shaky. So I think they're actually going to need to win here. I just look at last match where they went to New England and New England put up an expected goal total of over 4 on them. So
Wow.
the defense scares me a little bit. DC United's road defense is decent. It's top 5 in expected goals against, but they have given up multiple goals multiple times in March. In April, they've been much better defensively, at least like if you eyeball it, but they haven't played anyone that really challenges you offensively. Orlando, Montreal, Chicago is better, but still you're not fearful of Chicago of like putting multiple goals up on you. So I think a better attack could catch them out here. And so, I'm going to settle for team total over 1.5. I was really torn between both teams to score. I like what DC United has done recently, where they have shifted to basically a 3-5-2 and just playing way more direct, ceding possession and just playing way more direct. Benteke's passes to him have skyrocketed in the past 2 games. So I like DC United to score. That's why I think Cincy needs 2 here to win. But I'm going to go with team total. I think that's the safest play here for me, even with the juice, because of Cincy should be finding the net soon. I haven't gotten enough information on Brenner yet to know if he's healthy or not yet. They're not holding him out because he's transferring. Like that dude's here till July. They're not just going to sit him the whole time.
Right.
He is still recovering from an injury, and so we'll see. We'll see. If Brenner's in, obviously I love this even more. But I'm okay with if it's Acosta, Vasquez, Santos, and the like.
Yeah, Santos has been definitely been serviceable when he's been in this season. So I don't think it's it's not like this is dead or anything if Brenner doesn't play. And what I really like about this look, you kind of touched on a little bit. I don't think there's going to be any parking of the bus from DC, even as a road team here. Like I think this is going to be an open game. So I definitely like it. I'm just going to kind of segue into my play since my first play involves this game as well. Definitely like the look there, though. Cincinnati's been, I think they're second in the East right now, so they're obviously one of the stronger teams. So they should definitely get there. I'm going to have a play on this game as well. I'm looking at Cincinnati and DC, both teams to score at -140. Um, this is a DC United team. Obviously, we're expecting Cincinnati scores at home, right? So this is a DC United team that I am deciding to jump in on. I'm deciding to trust. This is a team that I think has improved as the year has gone on. Some of the additions that they've made, the two Premier League midfielders that they brought in, Klitsch and O'Brien. To me, that they are the key because they are running the style and the approach that Wayne Rooney is wanting. Like you said, they're being a lot more direct, which is what Benteke needs to score goals. He can score with any part of his body, and he's getting that service. So they're dangerous to me. They've scored 7 goals in their last 3 games. And again, these guys are attacking. They're attacking away from home. They're attacking at home. So I think this is going to be an open game. I think we're going to get chances, and I'm going to put some trust in Wayne Rooney and DC United to snag a road goal here.
Yeah, I like it. I just touched on it. This is where I was torn between these two plays. It's just trusting DC United to score on the road has been difficult, but again, they have literally shifted how they play in the past couple of weeks. And I really like that more directness. They've got one of the better cross accuracies in the league. Benteke's bicycle kick last week was just filthy. So no, I like I said, I think this game is dripping with potential. And I really think it hinges on DC United scoring. If they get a goal, especially if they get the first goal, we could be off to the races here.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. Well, a couple of hoping for goals in those first 2 plays. Let's go to what we hope is a snooze fest, Garrett.
Yes. So I'm going to be on the under 2.5 here, eating some more juice with the New York Red Bulls versus Philly. This is a spot where I fully expect Philly to rotate as they've played their starters a ton, really through a just grueling CONCACAF Champions League period. I think that was done on purpose by Kirchin to keep the starters in rhythm for games like LAFC. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see what that might look like with an early second half red card last night. So I do expect some rotation. Like, they're out now. I think he's going to rest some guys. The Red Bulls are tied for a league best as far as like best defense and expected goals against, with only 7.8 in 10 games. For you mathematicians out there, that's an average of 0.78 expected goals a game. And their over-under record this season is 1 over and 9 unders so far through 10 games. Luquinez and Morgan may both still be out. Morgan's definitely out. I haven't heard so much about Luquinez, so I'm still waiting to see if he's going to play, but he didn't even make the bench last week. So it's hard for me to see him going from not even making the bench to starting. So those are their 2 best creators and scorers. So I like the under here. I don't think – I'm actually curious as to why this is playable outside of Philly's expected goals. But if they're rotating their starters, I'm not worried about it. So, so I'm going to take a stab and go with my gut and say Philly rotates and take what I think should be a comfortable under 2.5. If you want, you can take the under 3.5 and parlay it if a 2.5 scares you a little too much. But this is an under read for me all day.
Yeah, me too. And New York Red Bull under 3.5s for parlay pieces. They've been almost as good as when Colorado's at home. I mean, they have been really, really good. And I just want to say something real quick about odds and where the lines are set. A lot of people think that Vegas has some sort of crystal ball and that their numbers and all this and that. It's really not how it works. Typically, a mainstream, odds maker will make the lines, and most of the books will copy that line on their book. It's not like every single book is making their own line with their own algorithm. So there are opportunities where, like this, Philly has been, condensed schedule. New York Red Bull doesn't have their best goal scorer on the field. There are opportunities where the lines can be a little bit wrong, and I don't want to jinx us, but to me, this feels like one of those situations where this should not be even playable. I just don't know where the goals come from. So really like this spot, and like you said, the under 3.5 for a parlay piece is excellent as well. But gonna move on to my second play for the show. Looking at Toronto. Toronto is playing New England. They're going to be at home. I'm going to take them minus 0.25 on the Asian handicap against the Revs. I think Toronto wins here, and I'll just get right into it. I'm expecting a little bit of negative regression from the Revs, from their defensive unit, to be quite honest. They've only allowed 9 goals this season, but their expected goal total is closer to 14. That's one of the biggest differences in Major League Soccer, and their expected goal number is 5th worst in Major League Soccer. We talked about Dylan Barrero being out. To me, that's massive. Like that is a massive loss for the New England Revolution attack, especially if they're going to be on the road as a counterattacking team. They're going to miss his speed big time. On top of that, New England has only scored 4 of their 16 goals this season on the road. So they're already struggling to score on the road. Toronto, I like what they did, bringing in CJ Sapong. I think you hit the nail on the head last week when you said it. He's not a world beater, but he's doing what they've needed their 9 to do, which is
season high passes for both or passes to both Insigne and Bernardeschi in the final third last week.
There you go. Exactly. So they've got the guy playing the position, doing what they need him to do, what they want him to do. Insigne is back. He's healthy. He's only played part of the year. So to me, I'm not saying Toronto's the best team in the league, but they're trending upward. And I think a half decent home team gets the job done here against New England, who is due for some negative regression and honestly is going to sorely miss Barrero. I think they're going to miss him big time, especially on the road.
Yeah, I think this is a bold play. Like I said, the Revs have one of the highest expected goals totals in the league. And it's just it is it is hard to predict Toronto to get a win. They just keep drawing.
Right.
And so it's interesting. Barrera is a loss. Don't get me wrong. He changes a lot of what they do, but his expected goals on the season was only at a 1, and he only had 2 goals. Yeah. And they're sitting at a 15 or 16 for the team. So some of that stuff you can't calculate, right? Like his speed on the field and his runs into the channels and pulling guys away and all this other stuff to open up room for other players. But this is bold. This Revs team is just, I don't know why they're as good as they are right now, outside of they just have a team that works hard together. Bruce Arena,
yeah.
Regardless of what you think about him, he is one of the best MLS coaches in the league's history.
Yep.
And that was proven before he got to the Revolution. So I like this. If I would watch this line, and I don't think it's going to go the Revs' way, but if it does, I would much rather get this at a draw no bet.
Yep.
But I understand absolutely taking the minus 0.25 because of all that draw potential there for Toronto. So I'm okay with fading the Revs. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is a bad play. I'm okay fading the Revs. It's Toronto where they don't have that killer instinct, it feels like right now. Maybe Sapong freeing up Insigne and Bernardeschi. And Bernardeschi's been carrying the load this season because Insigne's missed time. maybe all of that starts to come together and that team plays like the attack we want them to play. Missing Bradley for the past couple of games has hurt them as well. We can hate on Michael Bradley all we want because of his age and just how like
slow,
but he does do that hard work in the midfield that just doesn't show up on the stat sheet, right?
Right.
So uh, this is just a bold play. I like it. I like that it's bold, and I like the price at minus 0.25. But definitely one to watch through the week and see how it moves. I think it will move Toronto's way. I don't think we're going to get a break here and it goes the way of the Revs. But if so, yeah, it would be interesting.
Yeah, I should have prefaced this by saying this is a gut play, and this is a little bit of a hold your nose play. And if you follow the show this year, I'm 3-0 on hold your nose gut plays. So I should have just ended the analysis with that. But yeah, definitely looking forward to this one. I think Toronto's trending in the right direction. This is not the Houston Dynamo we're talking about here. This is Toronto. They've got quality. They're trending in the right direction.
I love watching that right side of Toronto and how Larea and Bernadette are playing together.
Yeah,
I mean, Larea is going to play him. If he keeps this up, he's going to play himself back into the Canadian national team. It's just he's playing fantastic right now.
Yeah, and you wonder if he's playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because of the way the World Cup worked out, because he was in and then he was out. So maybe, but you're right, they do look good. Moving on to our last show play before we get to the Super Collab. Garrett, this is your third and final play.
Yep. So kind of a gut play for me here with Nashville, both teams to score as Chicago comes to town. I like Nashville, both teams to score at home. Nashville just plays more comfortable. Their offense flows better. They got a 1.31 expected goals when at home. Their defense is still solid as always. It's only 1.03 expected goals against when they're at home. But Chicago plays pretty open on the road. I don't think they play with a lot of fear at 1.43 expected goals. And their defense has been even better when they travel at a 0.91 expected goals away. So the defenses could definitely keep this. The defenses are keeping this price where it is. But Nashville, since they played LAFC 2 league games ago, they're doing the different formation. They've moved Peacock up top as a forward next to Burnberry, and they're playing like this diamond midfield. It is an interesting look. I think it opens the game more for them. I think it also opens them up a little more. Both teams to score has hit in 67% of the Fire's road games this season. And historically, both teams to score has just been a nice bet when Nashville's at home. So more of a gut play as the stats don't back it up. Like if you look at Nashville's both teams to score percentages and stuff, they're not there. But I do like this new formation and what it does for this offense. They're going back to a very direct style, which I like because I think Chicago needs to have a little more of a buildup, even when they're on the road here, because they don't have that kind of speed to play as direct as maybe Nashville can or other teams. So I like how these two teams match up here. Fun stat about Chicago is already through this season, they've dropped 6 points from winning positions. And in the 75th minute or later, they have a -4 goal differential. So even if we get to late in the game, this play is not dead until the full 90. So
cool. I like it. Yeah, this is a gut play for sure. I looked at this too and had similar vibes. So I can't say I'm not on board. I would have a hard time, like you said, finding like a lot of stats and reasoning other than just kind of knowing how they match up with this one. But it does feel like Chicago is sneaky good a little bit. I mean, they are doing some things well. We've talked about it in previous episodes, and this is a team. I think it's totally fine to let's see if they can start making us some money. So
Kai Kamara is going to pass Landon Donovan on the all-time goal list here in a few games.
Wow, Kai Kamara is like 48 scoring goals in MLS. It's crazy. Right on. Okay, let's see if we can get this next part of the show right. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster with the Super Collab. We're going to win one this week. I feel great about it. Garrett, you have the first leg of our Super Collab.
Yeah, with San Jose, LAFC, both teams to score. You were never going to get this at a playable price.
Right.
So it has to go into a parlay. I like San Jose. Their expected goals at home is a 1.43. And I like where they're catching LAFC coming off a big midweek win. Where again, they're not super deep. These starters still see a ton of minutes. And but still, it's still LAFC, right? Like they've played 2 less league games than most other teams because of CONCACAF. So you're sitting at a 1.76 expected goal total in the season for this team. Bouanga is well on his way to challenging for the Golden Boot. And so I just like how this matches up here, where LAFC can still score even with maybe some tired legs or some rotation. San Jose's offense is coming through like we thought it would in preseason, and so this just fits a nice both teams to score parlay for me in a game where I think you could see 1-1. This might not go over. So
exactly,
both teams to score I think is the safer way to go.
Yeah, I agree. I felt exactly the same when I looked at this, because I looked at it and I said, oh, well, what's both teams are scoring over 2.5? And then I stopped myself because I had the exact same feeling about this game. But I think this will be a fun one. I think that, LAFC is, you can't deny that they've been really good defensively this year. Although Chiellini is hurt, which means, Aaron Long's back there. He's not the best, but
more importantly, they took Morello out at halftime in this midweek matchup with Philly. They said it was a tactical change, but he's been their best defender this season, and so I'm very curious.
He wasn't a yellow.
Yeah, well, I think so, but it's one of those where I'm not sure that he gets subbed out at halftime just because he's on a yellow.
Gotcha.
He didn't look right at the end of the half. I'm just curious if he doesn't line up, then I'm just even more about this, right? If he lines up, I'm still okay with it. I mean, Nashville got him over after their first leg. So I think San Jose, who has a better attack, should be able to work in a goal at home. And then it's LAFC, man. Like this team is just ridiculous.
They're gonna score. Yeah.
So, but this is a favorite draw spot of mine for the weekend.
Cool. Yeah, I like this too. So I'm gonna go with my contribution. I'm gonna go with Vancouver double chance.
We just can't quit this team, man. We just can't quit them.
and honestly, look, Minnesota is a little bit of a tricky team. I'm going to be honest. I don't think they're good, but they're a little bit tricky. But look, I'm going to trust Vancouver to bounce back. Last game at home was 0-0. Should have been 2 or 3-0. They just couldn't put them away. But the numbers are there for Vancouver. I'm going to keep leaning on our West Coast advantage, which has been massive. And this is double chance. So Vancouver not going to lose at home to Minnesota, in my opinion, and that gets us to plus 101.
No, I literally everything screams Vancouver, man. From expected points, expected goals, big chances, like everything screams Vancouver, and they're just not coming through yet. They will go on a run at some point this season. This is a good team. I expect to see them in the playoffs. And that run will come. It is just, can you stay on the ride long enough to make it there?
Right. Exactly.
Some other fun news. Leon is up 2-0 on Tigres right now. And I think Leon is a tougher matchup for LAFC than Tigres. And if we get Lyon LAFC in the final, goals, just goals.
Oh, goals. Yeah, big time. I was literally took the words out of my mouth. Well, Leon is better than Tigres this year. I mean, they're definitely more dangerous. So, I mean, 100%. Leon probably has close to the best attack in Mexico. Monterrey's really good, but Leon's right up there with them. Tigres is having a weird down year because Gignac is old and washed. But I was hoping for Tigres because I would love to see LFC get their revenge and take down, one of the Mexican giants. That would have been a lot of fun. But either way, it's going to be fun. But I agree, there's going to be hella goals if it's Leon and LAFC. But anyway, that pretty much does it for us. Garrett, you got anything before we go?
No, as always, just best of luck on your bets this weekend. And tell your friends about us. Follow us on our handles there so that you can catch any other plays we got or any of the player news. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.